What's up, everybody? Just taking a look here at PC Gamer. It came out that a Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is going to be free to download for Prime subscribers. Just in case you didn't have enough mediocrity in your life and you wanted to try a little more, definitely pick this one up. But in this article, though, so they basically just say, like, it's free on Prime for a couple days. I mean, it's free. If you want to try it, try it. You know, it should be fun, I guess. Probably not. But we got this linked article here, which I thought was interesting. So as for how the Suicide Squad got here, which we know where the Suicide Squad is at. One, it was a live service game that arrived at the height of the Battle Pass fatigue, directly picking a fight with games like Fortnite and Destiny 2 filled with fans who've already bought in. 2, it landed with server issues. 3, it failed to innovate on the genre in the most meaningful ways. By PC Gamer writer Robin Valentine's assessment, and considering the game's concurrent player numbers have dropped to the low hundreds on Steam, I'm inclined to believe him. So, I came over here to read this article here. This linked article. I missed this one. So this one says, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League's forgettable enemies, empty missions, and incongruous gun obsession prove why superheroes and live service do not mix. Okay. So this one's by Robin Valentine, writer for PC Gamer. So we'll go ahead and look through his arguments here and see how much we agree. This time last year, we got our first proper in-depth look at Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and I was pretty concerned. Now that I've gotten to play the final release for myself, my fears have unfortunately been confirmed. It's a game that proves now what I said then. Superheroes and live service is a dreadful combination. Please let this game put an end to this ill-fated combo once and for all. Back when I wrote that, Marvel Avengers was the ultimate example. Though Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has some impressive qualities, I think it's actually ended up faring even worse than that infamous flop. There's an identity crisis right at its core that hamstrings what should have been one of the most exciting releases of the year. Alright, already I don't agree with this. Because first of all, nobody was excited for Justice League. I mean, there were some people, like 200, that are playing it on Steam that were excited for Suicide Squad. We were excited for Justice League. We thought you take that Batman formula that Rocksteady Studios did for the Arkham series, you apply that to the Justice League, you get a Superman in there, you get a Green Lantern, you get a Batman, and instead Rocksteady created all of the assets for those characters and then shot them in the face. That's what happened. Don't look on the right of my screen over there. It's not for you. All right. So, and before we go further, yes, I understand that the Suicide Squad are not superheroes in the traditional sense. They're super villains or anti-heroes. Please just indulge me in the more convenient turn of phrase here. It doesn't change what's wrong. All right. Let's scroll down here. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is a game all about guns, shooting guns, looting guns, crafting guns, comparing guns. Why? Though the Suicide Squad is admittedly more likely to wield guns than Superman or Batman, they immediately feel a poor fit for a third-person looter-shooter. Assassin Deadshot makes some sense at least, and you can maybe make an argument for Harley as a gal who likes a gun. Agree. Though she's far more iconic as someone who gets up close and personal. What on earth is King Shark, a hulking demigod monster, doing wielding a shotgun? And why is the guy literally called Captain Boomerang and he's only using his namesake weapon for the occasional melee attack when he sprays bullets all over? This part right here. Captain Boomerang's actually a really funny character in the comics, and the fact that they got Captain Boomerang, and instead of being Captain Boomerang, they just gave him a minigun. So now he's just, I guess he's Captain Minigun. And King Shark, who can literally bite somebody's head off, not just their head, he could bite somebody in half while he's ripping another dude apart. Okay? What does that guy need a shotgun for? It's just stupid. There's nothing wrong with reinterpreting these characters to fight in new ways, but the motivation here isn't finding a new take on Suicide Squad. It's finding mechanics that gel best with the live service business model. There's a reason Destiny is such a successful example of a live service game. Guns make for exciting loot drops and a focus on shooting levels the playing field between otherwise different characters. It avoids the problem Avengers wrestled with of having to try and develop bespoke combat systems for each hero and ultimately producing a load of mostly very familiar feeling melee loops. Well, this is exactly the point. And this is why companies make these. These are cheap to produce. They have game systems that you can explain in 2 sentences. They're meant to be accessible to everybody, right? And because it's made for everybody, nobody likes it. I keep saying this. All right, and then we scroll down here, but it's completely at odds with the superhero fantasy. What's exciting about these characters is that they're super. What's exciting about the characters is what makes the characters unique. Harley Quinn is fun because she's crazy and she has a hammer and she's super hot. Captain Boomerang is fun because he's an asshole and he has a boomerang. And boomerangs are awesome. He doesn't need a rifle, he has a boomerang and he can cut people's heads off with it. It's already cool. Like, everybody for the last 100 years worth of comic books already came up with really great characters and ideas. You don't need to come up with anything. You just need to make Captain Boomerang. Suicide Squad maybe could have been fine. Nobody really wanted a Suicide Squad game. Like I said, they want a Justice League game, but maybe it could have been fine if they made Captain Boomerang feel like you were playing Captain Boomerang. And they made Harley Quinn feel like you were playing Harley Quinn. And they made King Shark into a melee character that has a bunch of finisher moves where you bite people's heads off and spit them out. That would have been cool, man. But it's just lazy game making. They didn't want to come up with anything new or interesting. They were just let's just cash in on whatever this trend is. They're innately special in some way. When they have cool gear, it's signature gear, fun gadgets and iconic weapons. Their power doesn't rest in the most recent assault rifle they looted off a mutant, and leveling the playing field between them only means filing off a load of the things that make them cool and distinctive. It's a problem in combat, but it's particularly a problem outside of it, where you spend an obnoxious amount of time poring over gun stats, recruiting other iconic and interesting villains reduced to just vendors for more guns, managing resources used for crafting more guns, systems like this have a place in gaming, but here they pull so much focus away from the larger-than-life characters the game is supposed to be about. Well, this is annoying in any game. Not just the stupid third-person looter-shooter combat, which is in every game now. Looking at you, First Descent. But the obnoxious amount of time pouring over gun stats. It's different in a game like an old RPG, or like an old management sim where you're pouring over a bunch of stats and numbers, but you have a greater amount of freedom to affect what those numbers are. Because these types of games, they're just incremental upgrades. You don't actually get anywhere. Your gun gets better, and then you go and fight harder content, which makes your gun suck now. And then you go and get another gun, right? And then you come back and you are stronger now, and then now you can get into that next area. And now You need a stronger gun though, because now the enemies are stronger again, and that loop just continues and continues and continues all the way through the game, and it's the same small loop over and over and over again. So it's not the crafting, it's not the recruiting the iconic and interesting villains, you know, or having vendors or having them be vendors for guns. I mean, it's not managing resources that's the problem. It's that the effect that the player sees the effect that they have compared to the amount of work that they have to do is incongruous, and it's annoying. I love this line though. It's like playing a Superman game where 90% of your time was spent working on Clark Kent's model train collection. I'd rather play that than Suicide Squad. I'm not gonna lie. You know, if you're just at home as Clark, just chilling with Lois, hanging out, and then you get a call, or you hear a crime happening, and you just bust out as Superman, and you go do like a quick, like, you just clean up the situation real quick, and then you're back in time for dinner. Boom, dude. That would be a more interesting game than this. And this kills me, because there was nobody at like Rocksteady or at WB that was like, yeah, maybe that's a bad idea, guys. We shouldn't do that. This just lets me know that the people that are making these decisions, they don't actually play games. Because this is like if I saw a drawing of something and then I tried to mimic it, but I suck at drawing. That's what this looks like to me. It looks like somebody tried to mimic something that was popular, but they lack the overall context to actually make it new or interesting or innovative. The premise of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is electric. An underdog team of supervillains dropped into enemy territory, scrambling to find ways of defeating the most iconic and powerful heroes of the DC setting. But what do you actually do in the game? You capture objectives and shoot big purple glowing things. The lavish cutscenes make great pains to set up these exciting story moments and pivotal confrontations, but anytime you're actually sent out to do some fighting, you're always doing some form of bare bones repeatable content. Its core story missions will be the grindy side missions people tell you not to bother with in any normal open world game. Survival against waves of enemies, keeping objectives clear so a bar can fill up, and collecting things to deposit in other things, all of it completely abstract and utterly divorced from any sense of what's happening in the world and the narrative. It feels like you're guiding the Suicide Squad through some gauntlet of a game show challenge, not reclaiming the city. For me, it's gotten to the point where I'm relieved whenever I get to do one of the Riddler's hopelessly simple jump through rings as fast as possible challenge. At least leaping around the city feels a bit super heroic. More than fighting battles with completely arbitrary win conditions. And isn't like just the Riddler challenges alone? You know? Like if you stack up the Riddler challenges from the Arkham series, and then you stack up them next to these Riddler challenges here, just how basic and stupid they are. I mean, I mean, that bleeds into the entire ethos of this entire game. It's just basic. Whatever the most basic thing that we can do. How can we spend as little, no, actually, that's not even true. How can we spend as much, they lost $200 million on this game. So how can we spend as much money as possible, but produce like the worst thing possible? This makes me feel like, I don't know if you've seen that movie by Mel Brooks. It's The Producers, you know, where he makes more money off of a flop than a hit. Like, I'm starting to really think like these game companies, all they're trying to do is just make a bunch of flops so that they can write it off on their taxes or whatnot. Like, I'd be interested to see their books. And I'll link this article here in the description, but he concludes here, so we're way past time for publishers to accept that just like the MMO boom and the MOBA boom and the Battle Royale boom, just because something is making a lot of money, that doesn't mean you're going to be able to make that someone you. You know, I used to work at Blockbuster before it closed down. And when we would get like a new movie in that was super popular, like Snakes on a Plane, you know, the Samuel L. Jackson movie. This is a really good example. So Snakes on a Plane was out in theaters, and then we would get these shipments of like these knockoff like B movies, and one of them was Snakes on a Train. And we would get customers, they would come in and they would rent the movie, and then they would come back and they'd be pissed like, there's no Samuel L. Jackson in here. What is this? And I was like, man, you got to go to the theater. This is Snakes on a Train, man. It's a different movie. Just, I feel like that's what they're doing. Like, they're just like, oh, look. Oh, look. Oh, Fortnite's doing battle royales. Oh, let's make one. Oh, Blizzard did really good for an MMO. Now everything needs an MMO. We need to make Elder Scrolls Online because everything has to be an MMO. We need to make Fallout 76 because everything has to be an MMO. Like, everybody just wanted to play together within the single player world of Skyrim and Fallout, but instead, let's make an MMO because we can make more money, and that's really popular, guys. We have no experience doing that, but let's just go ahead and do that, guys. Just on its face, it's just a ridiculous proposition. And like I said, you can tell that whoever is making these decisions does not actually play games. It's some dude in a skirt, or some dude in a suit, and sort of some lady in a skirt up there making these decisions with a pen. And they are a cancer on an artistic medium. Then it says, and that goes double for trying to combine that futile grab for live service success with the genre that is never going to be able to support it. Both Marvel's Avengers and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League had money, the time, and the talent to be industry-shaking hits. Even Gotham Knights should have been a welcome return for the Bat family. Instead, all three were completely undone by a few key wrong-headed decisions, whether they were directed to the studio from the top or originated within it. Please let Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League be the last sad example of this combination, and chalk up superhero live service as a failed experiment. We've got titles based on Wonder Woman, Iron Man, Black Panther, Wolverine, Blade, and more still on the horizon, which will hit and which won't. It's too early to say. But you can be sure that none of them will benefit from having a season pass, a loot treadmill, or an endgame. And all credit goes here to Robin Valentine here at PC Gamer. I'll link this article down in the description. Anyway, that's all I had to say. It's just a trend, and hopefully this trend is on its way out. Hopefully it's not something that we continue to do. You know, hopefully WB, because they lost $200 million, hopefully that's enough to make them get the point that it's enough. Like, all we wanted was for Rocksteady to make a Justice League game like the Arkham series. That's it. We wanted them to do what Rocksteady does. We didn't want to pick up a hammer and then try to screw in a Phillips head screw. And the fact that anything else happened is just ridiculous to me. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. Love you.